Will it break at sunset? Will it break at sunset?
Gün batımında kırılacak mı?
Can handle 2 weeks. Can handle 2 weeks.
2 hafta idare edebilir.
Do they fund later at 3 a.m.? Do they fund later at 3 a.m.?
Daha sonra sabah 3'ü finanse ederler mi?
We were not sent. We surrendered.
Teslimdik.
Not trades after 3 hours. Not trades after 3 hours.
3 saat sonra esnaf değil.
We wouldn't send. We wouldn't send.
Göndermezdik.
Your stepmother is a potter. Your stepmother is a potter.
Üvey annen çömlekçi.
I'm not a weekly ecologist. I'm not a weekly ecologist.
Haftalık ekolojist değilim.
You shouldn't be a contractor after 3 midnight. You must be a contractor after 3 p.m.
Gece yarısı 3'ten sonra müteahhit olmalısınız.
He became a shoemaker 2 weeks later. He became a shoemaker 2 weeks later.
2 hafta sonra kunduracı oldu.
Your wife was a marketer. Your wife was a marketer.
Karınız pazarlamacıydı.
They do not grow. They do not grow.
Büyümezler.
Don't I have to do some research in a minute? Shouldn't he be investigating in a minute?
1 dakika sonra araştırmaması gerekmez mi?
You should not be an interpreter after a weekend. Hanging translator after a weekend.
1 hafta sonu sonra tercüman asma.
Is our grandson a gynecologist? Is our grandson a gynecologist?
Torunumuz jinekolog mu?
Should not travel. Should not travel.
Seyahat etmemelidir.
Your stepdaughter is a nurse. Your stepdaughter picture.
Üvey kızınız resim.
We shouldn't be airmen in 3 hours. We have to be airmen in 3 hours.
3 saat sonra havacı olmalıyız.
Is his nephew an illusionist? Is his nephew an illusionist?
Yeğeni illüzyonist mi?
Will I be a scavenger next year? Will I be a scavenger next year?
Gelecek yıl çöpçü olacak mıyım?
We shouldn't be aviators at sunset. We must be aviators at sunset.
Gün batımında havacı olmalıyız.
My stepfather was an educator. My stepfather was an educator.
Üvey babam eğitimciydi.
Are their grandparents ambassadors? Are their grandparents ambassadors?
Büyükanne ve büyükbabaları büyükelçi mi?
You dance often. You dance often.
Sık sık dans ediyorsun.
Wouldn't I refuse? Wouldn't I refuse?
Reddetmez miyim?
His nephew is a lawyer. His nephew is a lawyer.
Yeğeni avukattır.
Will it besiege? Will it besiege?
Kuşatacak mı?
You roll. You roll.
Sen yuvarlan.
Will I not hate? Shouldn't we hate?
Nefret etmeyelim mi?
Our wife was a cardiologist. Our wife was a cardiologist.
Eşimiz kardiyologdu.
Your neighbor is the minister. He is your neighbor's minister.
Komşunuzun bakanıdır.
Shouldn't it be excluded? Should it be excluded?
Dışlamalı mı?
He was previously a banker. He was previously a banker.
O daha önce bankacı.
They could not measure. They could not measure.
Ölçemediler.
Was his son a glazier? Son go to glazier?
Oğlu camcı gitmek.
He can be a translator at dawn. He can be a translator at dawn.
Şafakta tercüman olabilir.
I was a sailor for years. I was a sailor for years.
Yıllık denizciydim.
Can't join after 4 months? Can't they fold after 4 months?
4 ay sonra katlanamazlar mı?
Is your friend a doctor? Is my friend a doctor?
Arkadaşım doktor mu?
It could be the second man. It could be the second man.
İkinci adam olabilir.
He could make daily jewelry. He could make daily jewelry.
Günlük kuyumculuk yapabilirdi.
We weren't close for 5 weekends before. It wasn't close to 5 weekends before.
Daha önce 5 hafta sonu yakın değildi.
Should he then split the 2 evenings? Should he then split the 2 evenings?
Daha sonra 2 akşamı ayırmalı mı?
We would say. We would say.
Derdik.
Was his grandfather the vice president? Grandfather vice president?
Dedesi başkan yardımcısı.
I want.
İstiyorum.
Were they jockeys next year? Next year jockeys?
Seneye jokeyler.
Won't you referee at noon? Don't you do noon refereeing?
Öğlen hakemliği yapmıyor musunuz?
You can't be a beautician at sunset. You can't be a beautician at sunset.
Gün batımında güzellik uzmanı olamaz.
You shouldn't get it soon. You shouldn't get close.
Yakın almamalısın.
They can be interviewers next year. They can be interviewers next year.
Gelecek yıl görüşmeci olabilirler.
He wasn't the chef every year. Was not the chief.
Yıl şefi değildi.
Are their neighbors a gynecologist? Are their neighbors a gynecologist?
Komşuları jinekolog mu?
Can he handle it at sunset? Can he manage in the day bath?
Gün banyosunda idare edebilir mi?
Generally environmentally friendly. Generally environmentally friendly.
Genellikle çevrecidir.
You can become a mechanic right away. You can become a mechanic right away.
Hemen tamirci olabilirsiniz.
Can take over at sunrise. Can take over at sunrise.
Güneş doğarken üstlenebilir.
Don't you have to answer? Don't you have to answer?
Cevap vermek gerekmez mi?
Can it reflect? Can it be reflected?
Yansıtılabilir mi?
Should not object. Should not object.
İtiraz etmemelidir.
Weren't we just apprentices? Weren't we just apprentices?
Hemen çırak değil miydik?
We could compare. We could compare.
Karşılaştırabilirdik.
His half-brother was a stylist. His half-brother was a stylist.
Üvey kardeşi stilistti.
Doesn't he row at noon? Doesn't he row at noon?
Öğle vakti kürek çekmez mi?
Is our grandson a gynecologist? Is our grandson a gynecologist?
Torunumuz jinekolog mu?
Can't make a weekly cream? Can't make a weekly cream?
Haftalık krem yapamaz mı?
Was my grandson a window cleaner? My grandson window cleaner protector?
Torunum pencere temizleyicisi koruyucusu.
Weren't we financiers before at 5 a.m.? Before 5 at midnight financier not generalization?
Daha önce gece yarısı 5'te finansör değil genelleme.
His grandfather is an astronomer. His grandfather is astronomy.
Onun dedesi astronomidir.
Can't it be renewed? Can't it be renewed?
Yenilemez mi?
Your half-brother is a stockbroker. Your half-brother is a stockbroker.
Üvey kardeşin borsacı.
She can dance every day. She can dance every day.
Her gün dans edebilir.
You haven't been a driver for 2 weeks. He hasn't been a driver for 2 weeks.
2 haftadır şoför değildi.
Don't we normally protect? Don't you normally protect?
Normalde korumuyor musunuz?
They will eat. They will eat.
Onlar yiyecek.
Was your father a truck driver? Daddy truckers?
Baban kamyoncuları.
Your friend was the mayor. Your friend was the mayor.
Arkadaşın belediye başkanıydı.
Aren't you normally a physicist? Not a normal physicist?
Normal fizikçi değil mi?
Can monthly start? Can monthly start?
Aylık başlayabilir mi?
Do we behave? Are we buyers?
Alıcı mıyız?
Can't you help right away? Can't you help right away?
Hemen yardımcı olamaz mısınız?
Could they be hydrologists then? Could they be hydrologists then?
O zaman hidrolog olabilirler mi?
Can't we practice in one afternoon? Are we a training team after the first week?
Birinci haftadan sonra antrenman ekibi miyiz?
His cousins are sheriffs. His cousins are sheriffs.
Kuzenleri şeriftir.
Does not undertake. Does not undertake.
Üstlenmiyor.
Shouldn't it be supported after 1 week? Shouldn't there be support after 1 week?
Bir hafta sonra destek olması gerekmiyor mu?
I have to answer. I have to answer.
Cevap vermeliyim.
Your grandmother was a teacher. Grandma was a teacher.
Büyükanne öğretmendi.
Wouldn't they be professors by noon? Don't they become professors in the afternoon?
Öğleden sonra profesör olmazlar.
Don't I agree at sunrise? Don't I agree at sunrise?
Gün doğarken anlaşmaz mıyım?
He did not become a shepherd 4 years ago. He did not become a shepherd 4 years ago.
4 yıl önce çobanlık yapmadı.
An hour later he would not feed. He would be fed in an hour.
Bir saat sonra beslenecekti.
Can't open next year? Can't open next year?
Gelecek yıl açılamaz mı?
Not directly. Not directly.
Doğrudan değil.
Promise? Promise?
Söz mü?
Can it renew sometimes? Can it renew sometimes?
Bazen yenileyebilir mi?
Your half-brother is a stockbroker. Your half-brother is a stockbroker.
Üvey kardeşin borsacı.
Should I threaten? Should I threaten?
Tehdit edeyim mi?
He is the driver at noon. He is a noon driver.
Öğle vakti şoförüdür.
Should not object. Should not object.
İtiraz etmemelidir.
Shouldn't it be borrowed? Should it be borrowed?
Borçlanmalı mı?
Were his parents foremen? Are his parents a foreman?
Anne babası ustabaşı mı?
Will it grow at noon? Will it grow at noon?
Öğle vakti büyüyecek mi?
I do not organize. I can't organize.
Organize edemem.
I would be a librarian by noon. I was going to be a librarian by noon.
Öğlen kütüphaneci olacaktım.
May rise. May rise.
Yükselebilir.
You are not a monthly nurse. You are not a monthly nurse.
Aylık hemşire değilsin.
Need to apply after 4 weeks? Need to apply after 4 weeks?
4 hafta sonra mı başvurması gerekiyor?
Will he not defend? Will he not defend?
Savunma yapmayacak mı?
You can be sure soon. You can be sure soon.
Yakında emin olabilirsiniz.
Don't we learn normally? Is he not learning normally?
Normal öğrenmiyor mu?
I can choose. Preferable.
Tercih edilebilir.
Will we care? Will we care? Should it be added from time to time? Should it be added from time to time?
Ara sıra eklemeli mi?
Hairdresser after 4 weekends? Hairdresser after 4 weekends?
Kuaför 4 hafta sonu sonra mı?
Is her daughter a paramedic? Is her daughter a paramedic?
Kızı sağlık görevlisi mi?
Would do it later. Did it later.
Daha sonra yaptı.
Was it 5 inspectors the previous morning? 5 inspectors circular the previous morning?
Önceki sabah 5 müfettiş genelgesi.
Should he forget? Should he forget?
Unutmalı mı?
Your children are lumberjacks. Your children are lumberjacks.
Çocuklarınız oduncu.
Couldn't he show? Can't show?
Gösteremez.
Your grandson was a spy. Grandson's spy.
Torunun casusu.
Do they get points often? Are they often included in the scores?
Sık sık puanlar yer alıyorlar mı?
I have to be a journeyman every week. You will be a journeyman every week.
Her hafta kalfalık yapacaksınız.
We shouldn't catch it next year. We shouldn't catch it next year.
Gelecek yıl yakalamamalıyız.
I have to be homeowner in 4 weeks. I have to be homeowner in 4 weeks.
4 hafta sonra ev sahibi olmalıyım.
You haven't played for 10 years. You haven't played for years.
Yıl oynamadın.
We don't waste the dawn. We're wasting the dawn.
Şafak vaktini harcıyoruz.
Should we match? Should we match?
Eşleşmeli miyiz?
Is your brother-in-law the founder? Is it your brother-in-law's establishment?
Kayınbiraderinizin kuruluşu mu?
Were my parents monks? My family monks?
Ailem keşiş.
Children operator. Operator.
Operatör.
No reason after 5 days. No reason after 5 days.
5 gün sonra neden olmaz?
Are their cousins firefighters? Are their cousins firefighters?
Kuzenleri itfaiyeci mi?
Will it attack at night? Will it attack at night?
Gece vakti saldıracak mı?
Can't recognize it after 4 weeks? Can I recognize after 4 weeks?
4 hafta sonra tanıyabilir miyim?
I will not defend. I will defend.
Savunma yapacağım.
Should he deny it? Should it be denied?
İnkar mı edilmeli?
Brother-in-law jury. Brother-in-law jury.
Kayınbiraderi jürisi.
I have to send. I have to send.
Göndermeliyim.
Reduces. Download.
İndir.
Will not sort. Cannot be sorted.
Sıralanamaz.
Wouldn't they be professors by noon? Don't they become professors in the afternoon?
Öğleden sonra profesör olmazlar.
Wasn't he a blacksmith for 3 afternoons? Blacksmith not published after 3 births?
3 doğumdan sonra demirci yayınlanmıyor mu?
Was her grandmother a freelancer? Is her grandmother self-employed?
Büyükannesi serbest çalışan.
Then we're songwriters. Then we're songwriters.
O zaman söz yazarıyız.
Can he always be a sportscaster? Can he always be a sportscaster?
Her zaman spor spikeri olabilir mi?
We will close. We will close.
Kapatacağız.
Would it matter? Does it matter?
Fark eder mi?
Can you be a curator then? Can you be a curator then?
O zaman küratör olabilir misin?
We are never carpenters. We will never be carpenters.
Biz asla marangoz olmayacağız.
It will open in 1 minute. It will open in 1 minute.
1 dakika sonra açılacaktır.
Talks about it often. Talk often.
Sık sık konuş.
They couldn't have been better at sunset. They couldn't have been better at sunset.
Gün batımında daha iyi olamazlardı.
Neighbor hematologist. Neighbor hematologist.
Komşusu hematolog.
Cannot defend. Able to defend.
Savunma yapabilecek.
After 5 nights I wasn't cold. After 5 nights I wasn't cold.
5 gece sonra üşümezdim.
His brother was a locksmith. His brother was a locksmith.
Erkek kardeşi çilingirdi.
Nighttime cannot thank you. Nighttime cannot thank you.
Gece vakti teşekkür edemez.
Should I not live 1 weekend later? Should I not exceed 1 more weekend?
Bir hafta sonunu daha geçmemeli miyim?
Were their uncles senators? Were their uncles senators?
Amcaları senatör müydü?
Doesn't it continue? Doesn't it continue?
Devam etmiyor mu?
Wasn't he a driver soon? Soon the driver is not aggressive?
Yakında şoför saldırgan değil mi?
Does it reflect after 3 seconds? Does it appear after 3 seconds?
3 saniye sonra mı görülüyor?
Won't he be a doctor in a year? Won't he be a doctor in a year?
1 yıl sonra doktor olmayacak mı?
That limit. That limit.
O sınır.
We had not been in intensive care for a weekend before. He had not been in intensive care for a weekend before.
Daha önce bir hafta sonu yoğun bakımda değildi.
Doesn't it go to the notary in 3 seconds? Doesn't the note go away after 3 seconds?
3 saniye sonra nota gitmez mi?
Now we can dance. Now we can dance.
Şimdi dans edebiliriz.
Would behave. Was a guest.
Misafirdi.
Normally I'll be the foreman. Normally we will be the foreman.
Normalde ustabaşı olacağız.
I can reply after 3 days. I can reply after 3 days.
3 gün sonra cevaplayabilirim.
After 3 evenings, he should cook. After 3 evenings, he should cook.
3 akşam sonra yemek yapmalıdır.
They could not sleep. They could not sleep.
Yatamadılar.
After 5 minutes they would grow. After 5 minutes they would grow.
5 dakika sonra büyüyeceklerdi.
Not done on a weekly basis. Not done on a weekly basis.
Haftalık olarak yapılmaz.
They must be field guards at 4 after midnight. They must be field officers at 4 after midnight.
Gece yarısından sonra 4'te saha görevlileri olmalılar.
Your daughter was a locksmith. Your daughter was a locksmith.
Kızınız çilingirdi.
He will lay the pipe at dawn. He will lay the pipe at dawn.
Şafakta boru döşeyecek.
It is called. It is said.
O söyleniyor.
Couldn't he show? Can't show?
Gösteremez.
At dawn, I was not an insurer. It wasn't my insurer at dawn.
Şafakta sigortacım değildi.
Cashier 4 years ago. Cashier 4 years ago.
4 yıl önce kasiyer.
Their spouses were psychologists. Their spouses were psychologists.
Eşleri psikologtu.
Did they always agree? Did they always agree?
Her zaman anlaşırlar mı?
Your grandson was. Your grandson was.
Torunun ebeydi.
Shouldn't it turn? Shouldn't it turn?
Dönmesi gerekmez mi?
They should not be placed later. Placements are required.
Yerleştirmeleri gerekir.
Can you extend it? Can it be extended by mistake?
Yanlışlıkla uzatılabilir mi?
My colleague was a spy. Colleague spy.
Meslektaşım casusu.
We'd be magicians in 4 seconds. After 4 seconds he will become a mage.
4 saniye sonra büyücü olacak.
Should not wash. Should wash.
Yıkamalı.
Are your parents inspectors? Are your parents inspectors?
Ailen müfettiş mi?
His aunt was a chemist. His aunt was a chemist.
Teyzesi kimyagerdi.
Couldn't apply next year. Couldn't apply next year.
Gelecek yıl başvuramadı.
You can give a job. You can do business.
İş yapabilirsin.
Didn't you insist last year? The ones who didn't insist last year.
Geçen sene ısrar etmeyenler mi?
I couldn't deal. I couldn't deal.
Uğraşamadım.
Was my grandson a financier? Was my grandson the financier?
Torunum finansörü müydü?